All right, so we got Nell Fortner in the building today. Uh,
Hey,
Appreciate you coming on, Nell.
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Nell and I met down at the beach down in the Panhandle area there, and yeah, I saw a bunch of people wearing Georgia Tech stuff, and I was wearing Gator stuff, and we got to talking, and it was pretty cool because Jeff Collins just took the job at Georgia Tech, so we had that in common. So what's up at Tech right now? What's going on? What's the buzz around campus as COVID stuff, is starting to come to quiet down a little bit?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, Colin. It's the buzz is really good at Georgia Tech, and a big reason is because of the name you just mentioned, Jeff Collins. He just, that guy's got such great energy. It's like when you get around him, you just feel good. But he's going into his third year, just like I am, and but he really his staff works so hard. The recruiting, just everything that when campus opened up June 1st from COVID, they had about 2,000 guys on campus, man. We were having kids on campus, everybody was, but that football staff, Jeff, they work really hard trying to get that football program up to standards in the ACC, and we believe in them. I believe in them, but as far as that, you see kids trickling back to campus, and the excitement's starting to build for August 23rd when we start, and but a lot of it, I have to give Jeff a lot of credit. He brings a lot of energy, and we all feed off of it.
Yeah, I got to know Jeff when I was back training at Temple. His last was really 2 years he was there. He
Yeah.
came from the University of Florida, and a bunch of my buddies played with him down there. That's where I started. And then I was at Temple and I was training. And without him opening up the weight room and like embracing the former players, like he had a whole separate locker room for former players.
Oh,
And he had like nameplates for us, like alumni area. Like he went above and beyond. I wouldn't have been in the NFL. I truly think that. So
wow.
yeah, he created another atmosphere for me to come back and training with a bunch of different guys, and I got to train with his staff there. And yeah, so I'm a huge fan, huge supporter, and obviously his energy is unreal. Like I've never seen anything like it. When it
Yeah.
comes to your practices, are you trying to create energy, or is that created from the players, or where does that fall with you?
Yeah, I'm an energy person anyway, so I think I think probably in any sport, it starts there. It starts with your head coach. What are they like or whatever? But I'm an energy coach. I'm a more positive than a negative coach. So it's that's something that I bring every day to the table. And my expectation is for my players to bring that too. Now, sometimes you have to teach that or, really hold them accountable for that. But that's something that's incredibly important. You can't get away from, you can't have low energy on a sports team. You know that. I mean, you got to have that energy.
Yeah, everybody feeds off the head coach. If the head coach is going to be yelling at the ref, then the players start yelling at the ref, and then chaos breaks loose. Or
Right.
right energy, even keel. I've played for all different head coaches.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I've sat back and just like take mental notes like, well, I don't know if I'm going to coach, but I don't know if I'm going to act this way. And if I do, I'm going to act that way.
Right.
Um,
Colin, I think you'd be a great coach, man. I'm telling you. I bet that's in your future. I'm not kidding,
I
really.
coach every morning. I'm down here coaching football every morning at 7 a.m. with the kids. I love coaching football, coaching anything, but
Yeah.
I know the most about that one. So that's easy for me to talk about. And yeah, then I go train and then start my day. It's a great way to start the day. It's so much fun for me.
Absolutely.
So you've coached
Absolutely.
at all levels though, high
Yeah.
school, college, pro, professional.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I said pro twice, and then international.
Yeah.
You won a gold with Team
Yeah.
USA in 2000 in Sydney. So, what's your favorite one to coach out of all of them?
You know, every one of them was my favorite. Was my favorite. I mean, Colin, really, I would have probably been a high school coach for much longer than 3 years when I first started. I loved high school. Let me tell you what I loved about it. I liked the camaraderie amongst all the coaches in high school. The football, we traveled with the football team, like we would go to their out of town games, and we were, every Friday night at home. The football coach, the head coach would have a party at his house after the football game. Everybody, I love those people, and I love teaching. So at the high school level, you do a lot of teaching. Well, every level you do, but that one in particular, in particularly. But then I got an opportunity to coach college at Stephen F. Austin with Gary Blair, and loved that, and continued my path there. And then I had the goal of the dream of being the Olympic coach. So you just, when you have a dream, you kind of follow a path and to make that happen. So I was fortunate to that it happened.
What was that experience like? I can only imagine you're dealing with the best athletes,
Yeah.
people at the top of the sport. You're competing obviously internationally. It's such an unbelievable thing. You travel to, where was it? Sydney, Australia, I believe.
Yeah.
What was that whole experience like, going to Sydney with a team? You're now the head coach and you're going to win gold.
Yeah, it was I took that job after I was a head coach for 1 year at Purdue. And then USA Basketball asked me if I would dedicate the next 3 years of my life to focus on this Olympic team. Well, let me tell you, that was stress, because when you have the only outcome for the Olympic basketball team is gold. So the stress of that, like every day so training that team, traveling the world and training that team, phenomenal experience. Coaching the best players, phenomenal, but there's a lot of stress attached to that because we're never supposed to lose. I think I look back on that and just all of the experiences of the people I got to coach and coach with, because there were different coaches coming in and out. It was just a phenomenal experience. Being able to go into ambassadors' homes when we were in Italy or Hungary, or, like meeting people like that, just phenomenal.
What was
So
that like? Are you sitting down, like breaking bread with these people?
yeah, yeah. Or they're entertaining us like at a social hour or something, because here we are, the national team, USA's in the country. So they're always wanting to impress you, and host you and be hospitable. So it was just, really a cool experience. But so I feel fortunate to have had it, and then to be able to come back and do TV, coaching the pros. I didn't care for the pros, for me personally, because you don't have the same relationships with kids that you do at the high school or the college level.
Yeah, everyone packs up and goes home to their kids or their families or their social lives or whatever. I mean, that was my biggest struggle when I got to the league. I'm like, okay, we're going back to the hotel tonight. And I was staying in the hotel my
Yeah,
first couple of years in, and that was it. Everyone went home. I'm like, we going to dinner? Are we eating together?
right. Where are we hanging out? Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you? Yeah.
So that's where I
Yeah.
really struggle with a little bit, but it's something I've adapted to, and I've kind of created that environment for myself because I feel like that's where I thrived. Where was
Yeah.
your favorite country you guys traveled to, and what were some experiences from that country?
Wow. Probably I don't know if I have a favorite country. Maybe Italy, because of the food and the wine, because that was phenomenal. Um, every meal was great. Every bottle of wine was great. I mean, that was good. But I think one of the neatest experiences is when we went to Ekaterinburg, Russia. That, Colin, it sits on the Ural Mountains where Asia and Europe come together. So there's a spot where you can go and straddle the line. So you're 1 foot in one continent and 1 foot in the other. And it's like 0 degrees. You're freezing your tail off, but it was really, it was interesting because we played the Russian national team like 3 times while we were there. It was so cold, snow and ice everywhere. And we were always taking shots with the other coaches or their administrators, like after the game. Oh, come on, come on, come on. And we'd have we'd be taking these shots. I'm like, what the heck?
How can everybody play the next day?
Oh my God. Well, it wasn't with the players. It was just like the coaches and the administrators of it. I'll never forget that. And some of the coaches didn't drink, so I'd have to take them for them. It was great. It was crazy. But the experiences like that, I don't know, where you really get to spend time with the other culture.
You're immersed in it.
Yes, that was really special. Yeah.
So when I played in the AAF, the small little league that shut down halfway through, I played for the Birmingham Iron. We had plane troubles and we spent the night in San Diego. We went out with the other team. It was one of the most fun I've ever had playing football ever. I was like, here we go. I like every bill. I'm like, I got it. Drinks. I don't care. This will never happen again. So we all, what do you guys want? I probably ordered, I don't know, $500 worth of drinks for everybody. I just didn't. And then we ended up splitting the bill up. But I was like, we got to get this rolling because this will never happen again.
That's awesome.
Got 2 hours of sleep. We watched film the next day, and then we flew back to Birmingham, and everyone just passed out on the plane. So
that's awesome, though. Those are the things you really, you remember those great games, close games, but those relationships, man, there's nothing more special than the sports field relationship, really, where you competing. Yeah.
That's really well said. That's really well said. I have a ton of them. I know you do too, especially through your travels. We're going to get into the media stuff because I'm in that world. I'm in and out of it. But take us to Sydney. You're competing. You're here. It's been 3 years. You built this team. Well, first off, how do you cut people? I mean, how do you make that roster? Because over years, I'm sure it changed. You're
Yeah.
maybe projecting this player is going to be, late 30s by then. I don't know if they're going to be up for it. I'm sure there's huge names on your team.
Yeah.
How do you build that roster?
Yeah, it's interesting. Luckily, I mean, USA Basketball, that organization is filled with committees. So you have a committee that chooses the team. So it doesn't fall directly on the shoulders of the coach.
That's
That's too
nice.
much pressure because there are so many great players. But the committee, listens to the coach, but it doesn't mean I get exactly what I want because they are a lot more objective than the coach can be. Um, but the team that I had in Sydney was a very experienced team. It was kind of like it was one of those like kind of no-brainer teams because of their longevity within the USA basketball system. So I was really fortunate in that regard. We had some young ones. Shamiqua Holesclaw was coming out of college out of Tennessee, so she was a youngster on the team. Kara Walters was a 6'7" player out of UConn that was a youngster, but they had particular skills that in case you needed them in a game, you had them. Kara Walters, 6'7". So the committee goes, man, we've got to have that kind of size just in case. So we're putting her on the team. Shamiqua Holesclaw was just an all-around 6'3", could do anything, even though she was young. Put her on the team, give her that experience for the next Olympiad, possibly. So, but everybody else, no brainer. Like no brainer. So I was fortunate in that regard.
What was Sydney like? And then take us into, the competition and then taking over gold.
Yeah, man. Look, Sydney was a beautiful Olympic spot. They should have it there again because the Olympic Village, we didn't stay in the Olympic Village. We stayed in a hotel with men's basketball and all of our families. USA Basketball just takes over the whole hotel. So, but to get to the venue, the Olympic venue, was so easy from everywhere around Sydney. The train system came straight there, so it was beautiful. And all the venues were so nice. So at some point, man, they should have it again because it was really convenient. But the competition, we were the number one team in the world at the time, and well, we still are. We always are. And Australia was the number 2 team. They were phenomenal. Perfect. So here they are playing on their home court, right? 25,000 people in the gold medal game, all Australians, except for, pockets of Americans that have come over, family and whatever. And Colin, it was the most fun game to coach because first of all, it's a gold medal game, but we were kicking their ass. So it was like, because anything can happen on their home court. That's stressful because the crowd, everything.
One mistake, the momentum's completely shifted.
Yes, the momentum could swing, and all of a sudden, it never swung. We were on it. We were like on it, and it was so fantastic. We ended up just beating them pretty good. So that was a fun moment for sure.
That's the best way to win. Everyone says I like winning most games. Yeah, I mean,
I like winning. Hey, how about winning on an opponent's home court? I mean, silencing a crowd. I love doing that.
And you're representing the country, which is
yes.
I mean, I wish we had it for football. I wouldn't make the team, first off. And second off, we wouldn't have, wouldn't even be a thing. Who are we going to play? I don't know who we play.
Right.
Yeah. Canada would put a reputable team out there, but
no, nobody could compete with that.
Yeah, it would just be way different.
Yeah.
So then you move on from USA Basketball. You go right into media or right into coaching?
I went right into to the WNBA. So went to the Indiana Fever, and they were a startup. We were a new franchise, but we drafted a player, Tamika Catchings, who was from Tennessee, phenomenal, who ended up being the face of the franchise for like 16 years. Had a phenomenal pro career, and I was there for 3 years. We went to the playoffs my second year. My third year, we suffered some injuries and just couldn't get there. But it just wasn't. I love the people and all that, but it just wasn't it wasn't for me. College, I knew college was for me. So I went back, I left there and went to Auburn from there in 2004. But also during my time with the WNBA, it allowed me to call college women's basketball, work in the studio, because our seasons were separate, we're opposite. So that's awesome. How I got into TV.
Yeah, that's great. And the TV side, before You worked your way to Auburn. I mean, what was that like? You know, is there certain things that you walked away with like, wow, like I really enjoyed that, and then there were certain things you're like, you know what, I just really miss coaching.
I love TV. I loved it. But I miss coaching. So you said it perfectly. And once you got that coaching blood in you, it's hard to get out because I did the Auburn thing for 8 years, and then I went back to TV. I was in TV for 7 years before I came to Georgia Tech. And I loved those 7 years. I called volleyball, basketball, worked the studio, SEC network. I loved all the people. But then it's like weird, Colin. It's like all of a sudden, it's like one day, all of a sudden you're like, man, I want to do this again,
It's really wholesome, like being able to change someone's life and give the forum to do it or whatever that is. It's not all on you, it's on them, but
Yeah.
there's something about it. There really is.
And you're exactly right, because in the last year of TV for me, the one thing I started noticing more was it just felt like to me like I enjoy making a difference in a kid's life. I enjoy that 18 to 22-year-old period where they're still changing. Their characters still being molded. They're still growing and learning. I like being a part of that. I was noticing in my last year that there wasn't enough encouragement going on. There wasn't enough positivity going on for these kids.
From other
Hey, man,
coaches, from other coaches.
yes. And I just felt like I was like, these kids need positive. They need encouragement. They need to know. They need people to believe in them. And I think sometimes our profession can put us in a bad way because we feel the pressure to win, and we push and we push and we push, but we push in the wrong way at times. Well, we're not the ones shooting the ball. We're not the ones catching the ball. We're not the one, that kid better be feeling really good about themselves. And I just felt like I wanted to go back and see, and not only for kids, but to help young assistant coaches, hey, to become head coaches. And so I have a different feeling coaching this time, and I'm enjoying it a whole lot.
Yeah. It's like giving back. You're giving back to the game because you almost
I think so. Maybe that's maybe that's what it is. But
yeah, you've done it for so long. But you talked about volleyball. You covered volleyball. You played at Texas, where you played obviously basketball as well. Had a successful career there. Talk about your passion for volleyball and how that coexisted with basketball.
Yeah, I love volleyball. Oh my God, I love playing it, everything about it. But my passion was always basketball. Yeah. So playing at Texas, when I went back and played like my 5th year, I played volleyball and we won a national championship. So
unreal.
That was like so much fun. That was really a lot of fun. But I was fortunate to play for a really good coach, Mick Haley. He eventually left Texas and went to USC and won championships out there. He was a phenomenal volleyball coach. So I learned a lot. But calling volleyball, calling the sport, I learned a lot because the sport had grown so much more since when I played. I mean, these athletes are 6'5" and 6'6", just hammering the ball, running stuff so fast. Just the sport is just so much faster and more physical. Loved calling it. But
you ever recruit any of those girls over to play basketball?
Oh my gosh. Every time a volleyball team would walk on the court, I was like, they should be playing basketball. And honest to God, it's really cut into the basketball talent at the collegiate level. It really has.
Really?
Because I mean, if you turn on and you watch Penn State play Wisconsin, or watch huge. Florida play Texas, they're huge. Yeah, they're huge. And so if volleyball wasn't as popular as it is, those kids would be playing basketball.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you can play beach volleyball. You can do so many different things.
Oh,
yeah.
Beach volleyball, that is so much fun to watch. I'm telling you, man, those kids are athletes. Ooh.
They really are. It's exhausting. I give them credit. So you have a lot of international players on your team, which is cool. So cool. What is that recruiting process like? What is that player like compared to an American-born player?
Yeah. When we took this job, there were like four internationals on the team already. An incoming freshman was coming, 2 from Italy and one from Finland. Phenomenal kids. Colin, it's like they are so much more independent because they're leaving home. They probably went to a basketball academy and had been living at that academy since they were 15. So they were already a little bit more mature and self-sufficient. So in coaching them, just really enjoyed coaching them. Now we have 2 Spaniards, 1 Italian. The kid from Finland is still here, and we have 2 Latvians coming in this year. So it's going to be interesting to, incorporating them into the team. But so, yeah, but the mix works. And I think there's a lot of give and take on both sides because of the maturity of the international kids. I think our U.S. kids learn a lot from them in processing things. They can help a little bit more, see it in a different light than our American kids can. So it's been really interesting. Great work ethic. So really fun to coach them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, how does that work recruiting wise for you? Are you just hopping on a flight to Latvia, or you see them at a showcase, or how's that work?
Yeah, when we first got the job, me and one of my assistant coaches flew in the first 2 weeks. We flew straight to Spain to make sure that Spaniard was going to still come to Georgia Tech. And we also were able to look at some other kids that we are now recruiting. They were younger then. So we have not flown to Latvia because COVID hit. So one of those kids is a grad transfer from Syracuse. So she already had played at Georgia Tech. She knew of Georgia Tech. The other one is an incoming freshman, but we only got to recruit her over Zoom and film and all that.
Wow.
So it'll be different. But the other ones are just coming, we didn't go to Italy because those 2 were already here, but we will continue going to Europe now that COVID is starting to loosen up a little bit. We'll start going back over there and continuing to recruit.
You've recruited all over. Obviously, you're at SEC, at Auburn. All over. Obviously, you're recruiting for you at Team USA, the NBA. You're doing pre-draft interviews. You've been all over the country recruiting. What are some of your favorite places to recruit?
Oh gosh. Well, I tell you, a hotbed is just right here in the South. Just a lot of really, really good basketball players here. California's loaded, but when you have players on this side of the country, we don't have to go over. We don't have to go too far across the country. But the beauty of Georgia Tech, because we're so strong academically, is we can. We have a great academic reputation, so it does open a lot of doors for us. But we've been able to stay primarily in the South, but we're now branching out up the East Coast because we're finding that you find kids coming from big cities. Atlanta doesn't scare them. Sometimes you can find some kids in small towns, and Atlanta's a little intimidating. So the great thing is we can go anywhere, and so that's fun.
And when you say you can go anywhere, you're saying that there's a young student athlete in high school saying, I want to go there because of the education. Like my list could be Stanford, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, because I'm up there academically to get in. I'm absolutely good enough to play there. Yeah. But the post-play career is really what I'm looking for.
That is absolutely right. In fact, we're recruiting kids who that is their list. Stanford, Vandy, Duke, Georgia Tech, Harvard, like that. So no doubt. There's kids now that are really, there's kids that really value the education part but they want to play at a high level. And so we're trying to make sure that Georgia Tech is one of those schools that continue playing at a high level so we can stay in those talks. Hell, we want to be the Stanford of the East Coast, if we can make it happen, that would be awesome. Yeah. Because we've got some battles going on with them.
It's a beautiful campus. I trained just north of the city coming out for the draft in Norcross. So I spent some time. I went to Georgia Tech baseball games and I walked around and saw the old stuff from, I think, the 96 Olympics, I believe. Yeah. So that was really cool. It's a beautiful campus. The football stadium's awesome. Yeah. And then you guys are right there too. It's really cool. Do you feel, and this is just a question here, we'll wrap this up. So when I was at Florida, our athletes were really close, all sports. Yeah. And then Temple, and I had this conversation with someone yesterday. I also came in, I transferred in later. So I wasn't a part of the, coming up process, but still I didn't feel like all the sports were close because football was like across campus. Yeah. It wasn't against the school. It's just how it worked geo wise. What's Georgia Tech like?
Close. We're close. You've been on campus, the football field, is on one end of this main street through Georgia Tech. The basketball and tennis facilities are on the other end. And in between, track and field, indoor football field, the baseball field. Then you've got the swim centers up the hill, but still you've got all these, man, you could go to a football game, and then if there's a basketball game that night, walk on down the street and go to the basketball game. So, and then we have a training table. So all the athletes eat at least one meal a day in that training table. Well, that's where the camaraderie really, that's where it really picks up. And not only just the athletes eat in there, the coaches do. I love going in there because now, Colin, honest to God, football guys coming up, coach, and this just from junior high school. I love football. Like, everybody loves football.
You're from Texas too. It makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, everybody loves football, guys. It's like, it is so much fun seeing those guys and talking and just stopping and shooting the poop with them a little bit. It's just I love that.
It's cool. It's a good training table there. I'm firmly believing that. I was talking to someone yesterday. I'm like, yeah, I think every athlete should have training table their freshman year, and some did, some didn't.
Yeah.
And still, I get it. It's logistically different situations, but it still was a great place, and I got to know a ton of athletes. But at Georgia Tech, you guys have that hub. I remember walking up from football, like up a couple flights, maybe a flight of steps or two, and you walk in, and it's real expansive. The food was great.
Yep. Yeah. So it's still there. We're fixing to build that whole building where that training table is coming down in about a year, and a new one's going up, and it's going to be phenomenal. Just student athlete centric with everything for their needs. That's going to be fantastic. So
we'll wrap it up with this. What's next for Georgia Tech basketball? What's on the docket moving forward this season?
Hey man, Final Four. We want to win a national championship.
Let's go.
We got to that Sweet 16 this year and just had a phenomenal run. It was a lot of fun. And now everybody's super hungry. They got a taste of it. And now they're like, okay, we want more. So the work ethic this summer has been great. Just that focus as we continue on is all about, if we can win this conference, we want to get to that Final Four and give ourselves a shot to win a title. So everything we do is headed in that direction.
That's awesome. Well, we look forward to watching this year. Nell Fortner, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Colin. Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
You too.